Hello and welcome to the Mastermind, Body, and Spirit Show. I'm your host, Matt Belair. As you know, we are currently overcoming extreme censorship. If you want to support this show, please go over to mattbelair.com, become a member. If you are currently a patron, go over there as well because Patreon is in the act now, threatening to delete the account. So if you want to support the show, become a member over at mattbelair.com. And most importantly, consider doing 3 kind acts wherever you are in the world today. Today's guest is a longtime researcher of shamanism and spirituality. He is an iconoclastic psychonaut devoted to exploring and exposing the truth about human history and potential. He is the author of the award-winning book Snooze, A Story of Awakening, and the new book CALI the Destroyer, a sci-fi tale set in an Orwellian future that radically rewrites Gnosticism as well as the origins of the earth and humanity. Welcome to the show, Sol Luckman.
Hey, thanks for having me, Matt. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to dive in. I glanced at your work. I really shortened the bio. You've written a lot of great material. The DNA book looks fascinating to me. We were discussing before jumping on here, what you're talking about, toning or the vowel language to activate DNA. So you're a very fascinating person. There's a lot of places that we could take this. And just for the listeners who are new to your work, you do so much stuff. So why don't you just give us a brief overview of whatever you'd like to share about, how you got to where you are today and what was the reason behind writing this new book of yours?
Yeah, well, that's a lot to unpack, but I'll give it my best shot. I have a writing habit, so I should probably just come clean there and just admit that, I go to writing anonymous meetings and that kind of thing. So that's why I've written so much over the years. It's just a bad habit I got into. In all seriousness, I always wanted to be a writer, but I didn't think I would ever write nonfiction. I wanted to be a novelist and write in creative modes. But I got sick when I was in graduate school studying literature. I was working on a PhD in literature. I got shot up before traveling to Brazil to do research and ended up with a really serious, weird autoimmune illness that lasted for the better part of a decade. And I tried everything that I knew of and then some to get over it. And I couldn't figure out how to do it. But I did get on the topic of energy. I got on the topic of DNA. I got on the topic of sound and language, and particularly vowels and their ability to interface with DNA. Long story short, I ended up traveling back to Brazil. I had been there before, and I was guided back when I was very, very ill. I said goodbye to my family, thought maybe that was actually goodbye. Traveled down there with my partner, Lee, who was integral in developing all of this work. And while we were down there, we had a series of mystical experiences culminating in something like a contactee experience. I never used that term, but in end of 2019, I was being interviewed on the Higher Side chats, and Greg used the term contactee. You were a contactee, dude. And I'm like, maybe I was. I always thought about it as more of a spiritual experience. But in any case, Lee and I were given these healing codes that were vowels that we were supposed to sing in a certain way. And we did that. And as soon as I did that, we did a session for ourselves. It took like 30 minutes to do. I immediately began healing. And I began losing my terrible food and environmental sensitivities, chronic fatigue types of symptoms, et cetera, et cetera. Everything just kind of fell away over the weeks and months following the session. And we began sharing this work with other people at a distance because we were told we could do it remotely, and we started doing it, and we were getting all these testimonials back from people because we were still in Brazil, and it was just so incredible. So you can go now if you want to check out that work. Anyone out there, you can go to phoenixregenetics.org. phoenixregenetics.org. It's called the Regenetics Method. You can read testimonials and you can read more about my experience with that. And the first book on the Regenetics Method that I wrote, Conscious Healing, which was the first book I published, is free on the website somewhere. I think it's the Conscious Healing page, but I don't know exactly the URL. But you can go there and read the whole thing online. And then I wrote a follow-up to that, which is a do-it-yourself book on how to do the first activation in the regenetics method. It's called potentiation. You can do it for yourself and your family, your friends, your pets, your businesses, etc. And the idea is to bring out their healing and transformational potential, what lies within all of these things. And for humans, that ends up being in or related to our DNA. So I was doing all of that, and then I began slowly edging my way back into writing fiction. I wrote Snooze back in 2013, 2014. I kind of got a download with that where it just kind of came through. I woke up and the whole plot was there. And then the same thing happened sort of with CALI the Destroyer back at the end of 2019. I went to bed one night, thought I was going to have a good night's sleep, didn't sleep a wink, spent the entire night feeling like my finger was plugged into an electrical socket, and I was just downloading this entire text. Now, some people have said, Philip K. Dick used to do the same thing. You know, he talked about downloading or receiving these gifts from some goddess and all of this. And he was also a Gnostic writer. And I get all that. I think mine was a little different from what he experienced, from what I can tell. But in any case, I was given this entire plot. And the next day I went on a bike ride with Lee. I told her the entire plot. This was towards the end of 2019. And the strange thing about it is that the whole book, which is a futuristic dystopian Orwellian novel, fortunately with a happy ending, the entire plot revolves around what's going on now. But at the end of 2019, it wasn't going on yet in the West. And I'm talking about the pandemic. I'm talking about the whole thing was given to me in a download. And I told my partner about it. And then I began writing it as it unfolded. I was writing a book about it.